Hey guys, welcome back to 1989 Mall Crawler. Today I'm going to go over basically how I turned my engine bay into a small engine laboratory. so, uh, Obviously lots of you have seen I want to do, I don't want to, I have done active hood vents, and I want to test different shapes and size vents and size fins and all sorts of crazy stuff. I also want to do a cold air intake, but I want to test this stuff. I don't want to just say, "Oh, cool, active hood vents. Stop at a light and they open." I mean, that's pretty trick. You know what I mean? You go forward and then they, slant out. They change their angle. That's already pretty trick, at least in my opinion. But I wanted to actually prove that they work if I could. And same with my cold air intake. I'm gonna get real deep into cold air intake and 3D printing, and not just like, oh, here's a plastic. No, dude, like different shapes, different boundary layers in between the plastics. I mean, all sorts of stuff, right? So I wanted to measure the intake ambient temperature of my intake and also the engine bay cooling. These temperature sensors will help me figure out what works and what doesn't, because along with the vents and the cold air intake, I also want to try header shields, see what that does. A lot of guys with 4.0s will run their cold air intake or their air filter onto the passenger side by the firewall. I want to see if that really works. So I wanted to see these things as best as I could and try to map it out, right? So, all right, let's get into it. So I use two different types of sensors. This is the first one, the DS18 B20, and they are already waterproofed, heat shrunk. They come with the little resistors that you need. The next one is just an OEM IAT that I used. Here's where I placed them. So the blue IAT obviously is in the back of my intake tract, and like I said, that will change, but that's where it is right now. I've seen that. The IAT's actually been on for about a month now. In a 95-degree day, after rolling around, that thing will get up to like 145, but which is crazy. Now, I have an aluminum intake tract, and that's probably why. And I also want to get into, at the end of the vid, I'll get into why I chose what I chose for sensors. So then I placed four little DS18 B20s, one on the passenger side on the firewall. Remember I was talking about how 4.0 guys will run their intakes over there, some of them? Well, I want to check that out. I did one behind the brake booster on the driver's side. I did one on the carb, because I have a little bracket right by my carb. The one I labeled ambient is the one on the wheel well, just because it's dead air. So there's no radiator air hitting it, nothing like that. It's literally just kind of there. So I think that's a good measurement, I think, of what the engine bay temperature overall is, I think. Again, also, hey, if you guys have an idea of like, dude, you shouldn't use this, or maybe you should get one of these sensors, totally leave it in the comments. I'm totally down to measure what I can and where I can, right? I am not opposed to help on this. So we got that covered. I couldn't find a bracket for the little DS18 B20, so I made my own. And Shaper 3D, this is a quick and dirty how I did it. Super simple. Got the measurements of the magnets that I bought, because I was going to magnetize them. That's how they're sticking to walls. So all just simple geometric shapes. And then I made it fancy by matching the faces. Made it kind of professional looking, and then radiusing it. And I printed off one. I didn't really like it. The magnet seemed a little weak. It probably would have worked, but I ended up 3D printing basically in Shaper 3D. I then copied it, shifted it over. I don't remember how many millimeters, but shifted it over, and then printed it. So basically 2 into 1. So there's two magnets. Also holds the DS18 pretty snug in between those two, between the two holes. So there you go. I think I printed these in PETG. We'll see if they last. I mean, I don't know what the temperature is, right? Yeah. Anyhow, I didn't have my printer. I had a printer, but I didn't have my big bamboo yet. So they're in PETG and not ASA. The wiring on these guys is pretty simple. They're parallel. And red wire is 5 volt, black wire is ground. The data wires, which on these are yellow, that goes to D2. You got a 4.7 thousand resistor in between D2 and 5 volt. If you haven't already, I have a three video series on my, it's called the Arduino Digital Dash. Go to number 3 video. I mean, check them all out if you don't mind. But go to number 3 video, and I have why you need resistors and all that jazz and all sensors. And also how I code it. In fact, the IAT in the end, I used Gemini and coded it in like 15 minutes. I've actually since then, I've switched to using ChatGPT, just kind of an aside. I think it's better and more comprehensive with coding. Might not be the best, but it's good. So here's the code that I use for SSD 1309 OLED screen and an Arduino Nano. Right? I figured I'm going to start sharing the codes on these different sensors that I use, even if down the road I do a throttle position sensor or whatever I decide to do, because I have it, and the way I learned was basically, pausing, play, pause, play on Uper's channel on YouTube, and I literally just ripped off his whole entire code pretty much, and then from there, but anyhow, figure I might as well just give back to you guys. There's enough bandwidth in this stuff. You don't need to fight coding unless you want to. So here I bench test them. All right, they're all going. Notice the names are off. Whatever. Just kind of what I used at that time. I change them later on. Here I am wiring them. I left the wire. I left their wire tails the same length, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain why in a couple seconds here. So I put a connector in there because I think these are just temporary. Maybe I'll end up keeping them, maybe not. But if I want to do, again, a throttle position sensor or like a bateau tube sensor, I already have the wires. So, and I can take these out and just hang them in the shed. So these have a connector on the end, and then the wire that goes from them into the dash have a connector. So there's 2 connectors on this. So it's basically just a generic wire harness, so to speak. And nothing soldered or anything like that, except for on the other ends to the actual components and to the Nano. Because remember that 4.7 thousand resistor, a throttle position sensor or whatever sensor I'm going to use next, probably is not going to be 4.7 thousand. So I did that on the other side, on the Nano side. So I can just unhook that and then just, zip it to this, and there you go. I just have a random 3 wires with connectors on either end, right? Now that they're in a dash, we see that. And again, disregard the names. The vent and the wall are incorrect. Carbon ambient is correct. But, all right, so here in the code, if you notice, it was 4 T's, T1 to T4. If I used 5 sensor, there would have been a T5. They do not label the sensors. I don't know how this magic works, but they don't label the sensors. And this is part of why I said don't cut the leads to them, the wire leads. Leave them. What I did then was got some hand warmers, went into the actual, I already had them pre-placed, and so this one is my ambient, for example. This is my ambient probe, and then went in a dash, or went in the Jeep. Okay, that's the ambient one. I lucked out, I got the right one there at the time. Then I put the hand warmer on top of the carb one, and it was incorrect, right? So it says wall. All right, so I moved that guy because wall, I think I changed the driver side firewall, and VNT, that changed to passenger side, right? So then I moved them all around, played, shuffleboard with them, and got them in the correct spot. And then what I did is I went into the code and changed the name. You'll notice here, this looks a little bit different than my typical IDE. It's because I have since then upgraded to a hub in the glove compartment, and that'll be a totally separate video that has to do with EMI and no, not the song, but EMI and spark plug wires. I think I might have found the culprit of what's making my stuff glitch out. But anyhow, and watchdog, in code and all sorts of stuff. But that's a whole nother video. Like seriously, it's a whole nother video. So I changed the name, right, to the correct locations. Bloop, passenger side, driver side, on the walls, the firewalls, and then carb and ambient, right? So the next order of business is the IAT. It takes a 3/8 MPT. That's pretty big, but whatever, is what it is. And here is the code to that. Again, if you haven't checked it out, check out Digital Dash Vids, 3-part series, number 3. At the end, I think it's that video, pretty sure, where I used AI to basically program an Arduino and bench test, and it was done in like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 18 minutes, something like that. And I messed up on the wiring, so that took some time. But here is the coding for that. And this also has a log. If you notice also that the other ones have a logging too. So they actually, you can see them go up, the temperature, or down, which is kind of cool. Just for a visual inspection, you know. In fact, the IAT it's been installed for about a month now. I did a short where I was running the wires through my little tube trick through the firewall. And I've seen that go up to a 95-degree day or 96-degree day sitting at a stoplight. I've seen that go up to 145. It takes a while. That's after like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes of driving, which I'm going to go over that in the end. That actually kind of dictates what sensor you'd get, which doesn't make sense I say that now, but in the end I'll go over it. So this one I'm going to leave hardwired because I like the IAT. It can also help with tuning. Just a quick visual glance, you know, if you're running rich and you're like, oh, I see. It's kind of crazy because when you start up your engine in the morning and everything's cold, it isn't just the engine that's cold, it's also the intake. If you just sit there and you let it idle for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, dude, my engine is up to running temperature. That may be true, but dude, I'm telling you, if you have a aluminum intake, your intake is not up to temperature. It takes a while to soak up all that heat, and it will change your AFR. I chased my own tail until I got this IAT, and it was like, oh, I see why. I'll adjust my idle, and then when I'm actually out driving around the real world after 20 minutes, I'm like, damn, bro, like, why am I running so rich? That's why. The intake has not heated up yet. Everything else has, and your radiator shows and your head shows that, oh, hey, you're at this temperature, but your intake, if it's aluminum or anything like that, is not up to temperature. Okay, so then we check that, and the IAT moves a lot faster, right, in measuring temperatures. There's a reason for that. So it's open filament, if you want to call it that. I don't know, open sensor, whatever. It's OEM. It's actually made for EFI, so it's fast. It's instant. You know what I mean? It's meant to keep up with an EFI system, even though we're not using it that way. But I wanted instant because that's important to me, and I wanted to watch it. The DS18B20s, the ones I got, they are heat shrinked. They have the lanyard already. They're cased in metal. There is also this type, which is super, super tiny, and it's cool that it's that small, but that is instant. The ones with the metal, remember I was talking about heat soak? These react faster than a big, thick aluminum intake, or a cast iron block, or a cast iron head, or whatever you got, right? But the reason I wanted these and not the instant, the encased ones are a little bit tougher for engine bay, but more so I cared about them catching the heat soak. My IAT, just to give you a quick example, if I stop at a light, or I stop in the shade, I will literally see that go down pretty quickly as I get colder air in. But that does not mean that the rest of my engine bay is getting that cold. But the metal cased ones will be more quote unquote realistic for what your oil pan is seeing or whatever you're measuring, because they get splashed with water. Your oil pan is actually a great example. Your oil pan will get splashed with water and it'll cool down. The instant one, the raw one would be like, oh hey, I just got down to 70 degrees. But your oil pans with the heat soak ain't gonna see that. So the metal encased ones are not only tougher for an engine bay and just overall, because they are, but they're also better, in my opinion, for getting real world temperatures and what's really happening, even though it may be slow. There you go. That's why I chose those. And again, if I'm completely wrong and you're like, nah, man, you should go this or that or whatever, let me know in the comments. I don't mind using different sensors and different ideas. Again, it's also why I left it as just a random, when I wired these up, I left a connector in the engine bay and a connector in the dash, because I do plan to run different things, different sensors at different places. And so, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. So now we can get into the cool stuff, the creative stuff, you know, stuff that no one's ever tried, probably because they're not stupid as I am. But we're going to give it a shot. and 3D printing and all that jazz. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you on the next one. Hey, guys, this is an addendum to the video you just watched. I actually redesigned these, the temp probe. I reprinted them in ASA instead of the PETG that I used. I captured the magnet. On top of that, I also got a heat safe magnet. I'd used a SH grade magnet, which is up to 302 degrees. So, I mean, if you get past 302 degrees in your engine bay, I don't know, man. You got bigger issues than your magnet failing. And also embossed them, labeled them. That said, I'm gonna buy some of these probes, slide them in, attach them. I also changed how they attach. So instead of the probe sliding in with just the metal, hugging the metal, because I had an issue where it was kind of sliding, it's holding on to the heat shrink now. So that works a lot better, because heat shrink obviously is a little rubbery and kind of holds better. And I'm actually going to sell these on eBay. I'll put the link below in the description or in the comments, just in case, you know, whatever, you guys can't find them or you don't have a 3D printer. I'll sell them pretty cheap, and got a code so I can actually label them. And so whatever you want, if you just, I'll pre-test the DS18s and then label them to whatever you want, as long as it's one code. Like, I'm not going to put Liechtenstein on there. Okay, so, you know, just keep it simple. Like, yeah, there you go. So these are a lot tougher, won't scratch paint. You're not going to have the magnet fail. I didn't have any fail, but, you know, it's just a better design. So I figure I'd offer it to, you know, the community or whatever. Not everybody has a 3D printer and all that jazz. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.